for the season. They hired a new drone pilot. There's hiring starting soon, probably pretty close to right now. They needed, I think, two foggers just to drive the truck for the foggers, and I think three larvicide sprayers they were looking to hire.
There was even an article in the newspaper. Did you see it?
There was an article about the West Nile.
The, the mosquito abatement is, and some of the things they were doing. I thought, oh,
Oh, I don't know. I missed that one then. But yeah, with West Nile, yeah, they did put out a press release about what West
mm-hmm.
Nile as well. You can check that out, and that would be on their website, linked to that as well. Um, they ordered 3 bags of spray and received 3 pallets. So
Oh,
we've got a lot of extra spray for this season. Hopefully,
no
we
water
don't
to
need that
make,
much.
no water to make mosquitoes.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll see what happens
Yeah.
there. They actually said that the lack of water, at least for last year, might have contributed to the increase in West Nile because of the fact that the birds and mosquitoes congregate around water in the same place. And so with less water, there's more birds and more mosquitoes in the same places. And then the birds are the carriers that the mosquitoes pick it up from and
Oh,
spreads from there. So we will see. But
yeah.
hopefully, the numbers of overall mosquitoes in the traps were down last year. You might see a similar trend with the weather this year. I would expect that. Um, and then I've got to do a training for the Open Public Meetings Act. We actually did that here in council, I think, a couple of months ago, and I have to do the same one over again for for them, but it's not too strenuous or difficult. The then of course met with Ryan a couple times. We've talked about the library survey a little bit, and we'll I think talk about that later on. But I was able to read all of the comments provided in those, and I'm sure everybody down that route. And so, in the absence of emails, I had the comments to read, and that was good to hear the feedback of what people are thinking. I think that's about it for me.
Good. Thank you. Carrie?
Yeah, it's been a fairly light month. Outside of the usual, I took 18 youth, and Janelle came along to the Utah State Leadership Conference last weekend. And they were on campus Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And we just have exceptional youth here in Providence, and they represent us well. And the future is in good hands.
That's good to hear about our youth.
They are great kids. It was a good time. So I appreciate Carrie inviting me along. Beyond that, the legislature has finished up, and so the league has started doing webinars to kind of overview and update some of the things that got put in place during the legislative session. So if you have time to watch them, that would be great. They record them and put them out on YouTube as well. So if you can't get on their regular webinar time, you can watch them other times. And that's mostly all I've done is help with the youth council and finish up the legislative session. And I did go to a county library meeting. We'll talk some more about that later.
Okay. Thank you. Brent?
I attended the county emergency management meeting regarding the upcoming events, things that are happening, and of course, everyone is aware that the lack of water is and lack of snowpack, and the rate at which it is disappearing is very concerning. And it could be a serious wildfire season, and people are going to have to be very mindful of their position when anywhere where a wildfire could start, even as here in yards and in the valley. Also, I met with, we just don't know, but we have several earthquakes happening all the time. They're minor, and they are happening in April. Is it April 16th, Ryan? The great shakeout. I can't remember the date. Yeah, they're going to have a practice shakeout. It'll be about 10 o'clock in the morning. It's nice to schedule an earthquake so we can all be aware. Anyway,
Alarmed.
And not have any damage. That will be the thing.
right. I also have been working with ward and stake leaders on some of their emergency preparedness. Some wards have gone ahead and organized block captains, given them radios, and the training is underway. It's particularly in the Providence Stake. Ryan and I have met on this and talked about emergency management. We've also talked about the library, and I also, and I didn't bring this up, but I think we need to be a little bit concerned about water management. Depending on how severe it goes this year, we may have to be thinking about our citizens and water management. Not that we can't pump, because we can, but it costs us. And we have to decide how we want to handle that. So that's something we might need to look into. Anyway, that's about where I've been at this past 4 weeks.
Thank you, Scott.
Working on a few things. We've got the Utah Wellbeing Project survey that's going on right now. If we sent out a notification through our social media, through the pipeline also. Basically, it's an opportunity for people to do a survey. It's a statewide thing that tells how they feel they're doing in Providence, and be able to get that information to the city. So it's a good opportunity to let the city know any concerns and kind of give us a feel for how people are feeling about Providence right now. If you didn't get the information on how to do the survey, I'm just going to tell you so it's on the record. There's a link. It's https:// tinyurl, so tinyurl.com/Providence 2026. The Cache Metropolitan Planning Organization has a committee called Bicycles and Pedestrians Advisory Committee. I have been asked to participate in that. So I did my homework and got a hold of people and found out that it is not currently running due to a lack of interest. So
Really?
that's what Landon told me. So it's like, okay. But the Cache County Trails Committee is headed by Landis. He's the main guy there. He and I have been talking, and I was seeking information like what it costs Providence City to be involved. What do we get out of that? Sorry, it's my business background. I'm going to look at stuff like that. The impact for Providence City. And so oh my gosh, he was wonderful. He gave me so much really good information. How we're impacted. He talked about, what trails have been completed, which ones are in process, which future ones, projects they want to do. Talked about their budget, how they're funded, which is mostly grants, cost of operation, cost of projects. I mean, in detail. I got a wonderful bit of information from him. It was interesting to me. They are assessing, because we're participating in their program. They assess Providence City a minuscule amount compared to what their budget is. I was a little surprised by that. So I assumed it would be a lot more. So also the America 250 celebration, I'm in charge of that. So I've been trying to get some information from other communities, what they're doing. I've talked to the county. I've talked to 2 other cities, trying to get some information. We'll talk more about that a little bit later. And then I did watch the Cache County Council meeting, and where they said Dane Murray is the new interim attorney. And so other than meeting with some residents, and one of them was 2.5 hours going through things, it's
Bless your heart.
about it.
Well, people have things that they want to share with us, and that's
Yeah.
good that they feel like they can come talk
I
with
want
you
'em
about
to.
it. Yeah.
I want them to. So it's a good thing.
Okay. Thank you. As Janelle said, it's the end of the legislative session. We put a lot of time in. I went to a lot of meetings, listening to what the legislators were doing. And my question is always, what are we trying to solve? How many people does this impact? I think we don't ask that question often enough. A lot of chamber activities, and there have been a lot of meetings this year or this month. But the thing that those meetings do for us is that it puts me in front of the governor, puts me in front of people who get to know who Providence is and what we do. And when we need something, if we need a letter or whatever, all I have to do is call. They'll take my call and they're willing to do whatever they need to do. So I do spend a lot of time in other meetings that seem like they're unrelated, but they're not. So we'll go ahead and close that item number 1 and, council reports, and move to item number 1, approval of the minutes.
Can I add one more thing there?
No. Yes.
The Sauerkraut Days Committee is starting to get going for this coming year. So their first meeting is next Monday here in this building at about, I think, 6 o'clock?
6:30.
6:30. So if anybody's interested in volunteering, we take everyone.
Well, we're looking for people who want to help us, especially as we get started. We need people in leadership, people that can run one of the venues that we have going on. Nicole's situation has changed that she can't spend quite as much time as she has in the past. So if you know of someone who's good with art, who's good with sports kinds of things, and who would be willing to serve to run this,
And really rallying and leading people.
right. So, and everyone that helps brings with them a sphere of people that they know and their contacts. And so the more people we can get involved, the more successful our event will be. So look around and see if there's people that you know who would be willing to do that. So thank you for bringing that up. So I will entertain a motion on the minutes.
We'll make a motion that we approve the minutes from February 18th, 2026.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
They're from last.
Well, they're from
last
February.
meeting's minutes.
Thank you for bringing that up, though. Okay, so we have a motion, a second, no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. The next, item number 2 is the Connect Board City Representative appointment. Providence City Council will review, discuss, and may appoint Paul Mortensen as the city's representative on the Connect Board. You'll all remember that just a couple of months ago, we appointed Scott Tyre, and he's had some health issues come up. And he said, but I have a neighbor next door that I think would be willing to do that. So, Paul, would you like to come up to the microphone? And you all got information about his background. He's a pilot, so he knows how to move lots of people. He was a pilot for Delta. So, is there anything that you want to share with us? And then the council will ask some
I'll
questions.
give you the 30-second rundown. Basically, I grew up here in Cache Valley, graduated from Logan High, Utah State, went into the Air Force for 8 years, and after that was a pilot for Delta Airlines for 30 years, and recently retired. Mostly lived in Logan, but downsized and moved to Providence about 4 years ago. Married, 4 kids. 2 of them live here in Providence, one in River Heights and one down in Draper. Still fly for fun on the side, like to hike and bike. And I guess my neighbor, Scott Tyre, thought being a pilot, maybe I had seen a good transportation system. So he thought maybe I might be able to serve on the Connect board. So I'm happy to do that if you approve me. And that's enough for me, about me.
So, and I'm sure that you were signed off last night in their meeting. They just didn't let him know that he needed to be there. So, River Heights, he will serve River Heights and Providence in his position on the board. So he's been up to speed looking at minutes and looking at agendas. And so that's the kind of people that we want to serve. Brent Speth will be your contact
Okay.
to report to the board. If you feel like there's anything you need to come and report, you and Brent can ferret that out and decide what to do. But
And I assume motion sickness is not an issue with you if you ride the bus.
Luckily not anymore. No.
Great. Glad to hear that. Wonderful. Just teasing you a little bit. But yes, my contact is very simple, just through the city or my personal email. So I wouldn't talk on the phone. So
Okay.
we'll get together.
I'll
Sounds
give you
good.
his contact information as
Yeah.
well. So
And they can give it to you here from the city anytime. And so I can get yours. Not a problem.
Okay.
Okay.
anyone else? Questions? Comments?
I just, something to be aware of. When I was at the high school doing their government panel, I actually had a few students ask me why we don't have any bus stops in Providence anymore. And so I think maybe it would be helpful if there was like an education component so they kind of understand like the rideshare model that Connect is using now and just kind of how the transit interfaces with the community. Because I think some people don't understand it.
And maybe Connect did not think about the fact that there are high school students. As gas becomes more expensive,
Right.
they're probably going to be looking more and more to use public transit.
Definitely.
Bring up the fact that we can't get to Brigham City from here on public transit.
Connect our last mile to the UTA tracks.
Yeah,
That'd be great.
perfect. Okay. I will entertain a motion to appoint Paul Mortensen to the Connect Board.
I'll make a motion that we appoint Paul Mortensen to the Connect Board and express gratitude for his willingness.
Okay, motion?
Second that.
Motion and second. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
You're on.
All right. Thanks for your approval. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you.
So you're welcome to stay and listen, but if you need to leave, we understand.
I would, but it's my anniversary tonight, so I promised my wife I'd at least give her a few minutes.
That's more important.
So, well, thank
Congratulations.
That is
Thank you.
important.
Good man.
Okay. So great to have wonderful people be willing to serve.
Yeah.
Come to the table. We don't have any public hearings tonight. We'll go to item number 3, which is a resolution. The City Council will review, discuss, and may take action on an ordinance regarding PCC Edition 10-8-10, affordable housing incentives. The Planning Commission held a public hearing on January 14th. Planning Commission made a motion to recommend that the council approve the addition to city code on March 11th after further additions were added per their recommendation. So this is just a cleanup, dust up item. Ryan, do you want to say anything about it?
You know, I think Scarlett will talk on this one,
Okay,
the land use.
you're on, Scarlett.
You want to make your motion first, or do you want to just want me to present it?
Just go ahead and present.
We have talked about doing this for a couple of years, and the affordable housing's kind of been a moving target, but it kind of seems like it's going to settle down for 6 months maybe this year. So it's probably a good time to put some of these things in. This is, the state code has an incentive program. It's a little bit out of our reach as far as practicality to try and work it into Providence, you know, and so we base this on what they have. This just gives people that are willing to develop and not just build on smaller lots or smaller size units, but actually put deed restrictions on for owner occupancy or also for rental units. But there's a deed restriction that keeps the rental payments, both income and rental payments for a period of not less than 15 years in that moderate to income housing, or that moderate housing rate. And then on the owner occupancy requirement, that's a period of not less than 5 years. The Planning Commission looked at this and talked about it quite a bit. Excuse me, they asked to have the rental portion beefed up a little bit. And so I did some research and put the portion that's underlined. All of this is new to our code, but the portion that's underlined is the portion that the Planning Commission had me add and work on. And one of the things that I felt like was really a good thing is that it does require a property owner annual report. Tried not to be over burdensome on property owners, but we do want to make sure that they are staying within the parameters of the density credit that they get for this. The ordinance is based on giving them a 20% bump in density increase. So if they could have 10 units per acre, now they could get 12. And in order to achieve that, the lot size, as long as they're the restricted lots, they can't do it unless they're going to be the actual deed restricted lots. They can be no less than 80% of the base lot size. So if it was a 10,000 square foot lot, it could drop down to 8,000. That type of thing. Setbacks remain the same. Planned unit developments, they can get a little bit of a density more. They already get 110. They get a 10% bonus on a planned unit development right now, without having it be affordable. But if they do the moderate, or excuse me, the affordable restrictions, they can get an additional 15% density. And there's a provision in there for life cycle residential development and mixed use development, both of those zones. And that's pretty much it. The monitoring will take place with those annual reports, but the city can go in and monitor to make sure that we can go in and audit. Shouldn't say monitor, we can go in and audit to make sure that they're fulfilling their obligations. And then it does mention the homeownership promotion zone. This is something that is completely state code. They are making some changes on how they're going to do all of those financing programs, but it's still available, so it's showing an option there.
And I just make a note that the 15 years is a fairly standard reporting period of time for housing credits. So if you go for low income housing credits, they require a 15-year period of time at least to monitor. So there is, some of them have even longer than that, but that is a fairly common length of time to do those reports. And it would be a similar type of report. So those that are coming in to do low income housing and are willing to do a restriction like this, likely they'll also get state or federal housing credits. And so that would tie together. So anyway.
The really good news about moderate income housing is they have put a stop on the report while they figure out what's going on with it, and it's going to be in the economic development department instead of with workforce services, which we feel like will be better than where it was. So hopefully they'll look at the report and say, and ask the governor why he's not talking to developers and the banks.
We do still have to report on building permits this year, but we do not have to go through the moderate income housing plan strategies and objectives and give an update on that. So it reduces the time on that report significantly.
Yeah. Scarlett puts a lot of time into that. We appreciate your efforts on that, Scarlett.
Thank you.
Brent?
Does this have any effect on property tax?
Only
know
if
how
for
it
some reason they're able to go through the county and if there's a federal, if there is something federal attached to moderate income housing, they could utilize that. But no, as far as the city, we would not. That would be something they'd work with through the county or through the federal tax credit programs. Don't you think, Ryan?
Yeah. It would still be a residentially assessed property. Sometimes when they do a commercially assessed, they'll have a income component, but really usually residential is just a market component. So unless they termed it commercial and did it with a mixed use development and had a commercial component that was taxed due to the income component, that could be, but I don't believe so. But I guess the assessor could do different methods, but there's that. So
At this time, we don't know
I don't
of
believe-
any effect
I don't
on
We
believe
won't have any responsibility with that.
property tax. Okay.
Yeah.
Ryan and I talked a little bit about what the push is right now with the Olympics coming and the excitement that exists with our governor to be able to take care of housing. And there's a lot of excitement. There's a lot of need. I give him credit on that. Would we ever want to have a sundown clause that we come back and revisit this in a few years? Maybe, I don't know. As something I was just thinking about. Ryan and I talked about it. Do we want to have a sundown clause? Or do we want to make this just not revisable unless somehow it comes back up?
sunset provisions are fairly common with incentives, and especially in the tax world. You'll hear the national legislature talk about that they cut taxes, and then 4 or 8 years later they come back and have to renew those. And a sunset provision would act similarly like that, is be able to give an incentive for a period of time, then that expires unless renewed. So you can either do a renewal to it. Sometimes we can put that in. We've had other incentives we put in the code and have just left them as continuation until we come back and change. But a sunset provision would say, hey, let's try this for 4 years, and then the incentive drops off at that point, and then could be re-implemented. The national legislature seems to get double credit when they do that. They get a tax cut, and then when it expires, they get to do it again and call it a tax cut. So get a double dip on the politics of that. So anyway, just as we were talking, it came up, and we thought, hey, maybe this is a thought.
So yeah, I just wanted to mention this to my colleagues on the council. Is it something that we want to set I said sundown, sunset, as long as it's not a sun up, I guess.
I would feel more comfortable with it if we had a clause that it be revisited after it was implemented, but I think it still would meet the requirements by passing it. And
Would we have to have that built into it when we accept this? Is that something we maybe consider is important enough that maybe we table this to our next meeting? I don't think there's any panic in getting it passed, is there? I know we need to do it. I don't question that, but I'm just wondering if we had just a simple sunset clause built into it.
I think you could do it as part of your motion if you were so inclined
Okay.
to approve it. And then one thing to keep in mind, you can always come back and amend a code. So if you set the set clause for 4 or 5 years, but you felt like it wasn't working at all after the first time somebody tried to use it, you could come back and amend the code. So if it makes you feel comfortable, though, just asking for a sunset period in 5 years or 4 years or whatever you want to, we can just write that into it.
Okay. So, other colleagues?
Question?
We have a couple of questions, so go ahead, Janelle. And then you.
I'm just wondering if this is a tool that we're using for the moderate income housing and we're not required to do one this year, if it makes sense to just table this until we need it for our next report, because every year they want us to show that we're doing something. But if this year we don't have to show that we're doing something, and that's what's the motivation to put this in, is to work on that moderate income housing report that we're required to do. If just tabling it for a year makes sense, I don't know. I don't write the report, so you tell me.
Well, you never know what the new report will be, but that is one of the things that the cities really pushed for, is that the cities get credit for the accomplishments they've achieved, that they don't have to start over every year to try and they do get credits for what happens prior. So I don't know. It certainly would be something that we could say we had done since the report before. So I don't know how the new report will go. But if it goes the way they've talked about, anything that we do, we can report on that to say that we had implemented that, and we can either report that developers are taking advantage of it or they're not taking advantage of it, but we can say that we did it, even in the
off year.
off year.
Okay.
My question would be what, excuse me, what would a positive or what is the outcome that we're looking for exactly with it? You said we can, maybe look and see in a couple of years working. What does that look like if it is working? My second question is, we've seen time and time again, residents are really adverse to density. And so if we're saying now you can put 20% more density on 80% of the land that you used to have, I don't think that goes over too well with our residents here either. But so those are some things to consider. If we do consider a sunset provision, I think I'd be more likely to support 2 years tops. But if we have some other, or what Janelle said, perhaps wait on it and see what the requirement ends up being, and how can we push back against some of those requirements. Some of this feels kind of onerous, honestly, and it's been a huge drag on Scarlett. I'm speaking for you. Maybe it's maybe I shouldn't speak for you, but that seems like a huge productivity suck within our city offices here, with all the time and effort put into this moderate income. If you looked at the numbers and found somewhere between 400,000 and 500,000 would be considered, affordable in Providence, then you've got currently 10 or 12 properties for sale. They're not old junkers. They're granite countertops, nice properties, but some have sat on the market for 9 months. And so then I really question, what are we getting out of something like this if we already have properties available that aren't selling in that price range?
Actually, that price range is a little high. The governor uses that because he looks at the state and he looks at the Wasatch Front. It's based on the county's median income. I think ours is down in the $300,000 range when it comes right down to affordable. When you use the federal housing, and when it comes right down to it, that's what we have to use, is the Federal Housing Administration definition of affordable. And it's 80% of the median income for the county.
Okay.
So it's a little, it's still, but it's not quite 400,000 to 500,000. It's a little bit less than that.
That's fair. I was looking
But
at
we're on the high end
I was
in
looking
the
at
county.
Providence
Yeah.
median, so that's fair.
Yeah,
too.
Providence,
Yeah.
we tried that when it first came out. They wouldn't let us do that. We had to,
Okay.
yeah. So it is kind of time consuming, but that's one of the things that they're really working towards, is that they can get things codified and it won't be quite as time consuming as it has been in the past, the way they do the reporting. But you just never know when it's the legislature doing it. So.
Okay.
One thing about it, though, it is actually easier to try and do code amendments, code and things like that, when we're not up against a time frame to try and meet a deadline of a report, or when building is really pushing. So as far as allocation of time, it actually, that's why it's taken so long to put it in, is because finally there was some time to sit down and really look at getting incentives in place. If it's like the other stuff we've done, though, I don't know that very many people will take advantage of it.
Well, I would be in favor of passing it, but putting a sunset clause on it. Because we can always come back, right? It's easier to come back and make that change than if we don't do it and then we need it, right?
Are we ready for a motion? Do we agree that we should?
Let's make a motion. If
possibly-
there's further discussion, we can do that. So go ahead and
Okay.
do your motion.
So I would make a motion that we approve ordinance 01-2026, ordinance adding code to the Providence City Code regarding affordable housing incentives, Title 10, zoning regulations, Chapter 8, area regulations, and Section 10, affordable housing incentives. But I would also make in my motion that we put a sunset clause on this, and herein I would respect the input from my colleagues, but maybe at this point in time, 2 years, is that too soon? Give it 2 years and see if anything happens in 2 years.
So that's your motion? Okay, we have a second?
I second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Further discussion about it? Everybody feels good with that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any
Nay.
opposed? Oh, nay.
Nay.
Okay. Item number 4, ordinance 05-2026, PCC, Title 11. So these are the City Council will review, discuss, and may take action on an ordinance regarding amendments to the City Code, Title 11, subdivision regulations and removal of PCC 7-3-4, Standards Planning Commission 7-3-4 standards. The Planning Commission held a public hearing on March 11th and motioned the City Council approve the amendments. So, is this one yours, Ryan?
Yep, this one's mine. Yep,
Okay.
I'll take it. So this is about making sure the correct information is in the correct place. So we've adopted the standards, which match to the APWA. That's what Logan's done. That's what Nibley's done. We've done that. So we have the new standards. And then as we were going through that process, we found a few things that were maybe misfiled in the wrong spot. For instance, we've adopted the standards, but this section included a section talking about what the standards were. Well, we've adopted a standard, so we don't need that section in here. Another example as we go down is the road base. We talked about before when we adopted it that there was a road base standard, what fit through which size of sieve. And so this is the 3/4 inch standard. And we talked that we went to the 1 1/4 inch. So the standard for the road base size was in the ordinance. It belonged in the standards. There are some things in here that were in the standards that needed to come over to the ordinances. as I was visiting with the mayor, kind of related this to a recipe. We want our flour in the flour bin. We want the eggs in the fridge, and we want the recipes in the cabinet. We had some recipes in the flour and some eggs in the recipe book, and so we're just trying to fix that. So that's really what this is about. It's not adding or subtracting. It's really organizing the buckets so that we have the standards where they're supposed to be, the code where it is, and the policy. So that's really what we are. We have a few wording ones here, calling out the standard. We had adopted it, but we're calling it out in the right spot here, and so then we have, so in the ordinance, so this is another one. In the code, it had the width of the street at the asphalt, and in the standard it had it, and so it was duplicated in two different spots. So if we ever made a change, we'd have to search for it. This one instead just references the standard, so we take that out, reference the standard. So anyway, that is. And so that some of this, making definitions, some of the definitions were the standards. We took them out, put them in the definition sections. So it, in the public improvements. So these were some of the instructions written in the standards, but the instructions belong in the ordinance. And so anyway,
In the cabinet.
we want we want those in the cabinet. And, so that's kind of what it is. And really is just a cleanup. We did, in order to get here, we went through an extensive process of comparing the old standard to the new standard and what might have been missed. We went through the ordinances to compare what the ordinance was, and so we went to try to figure out each of those different ones that, as we adopted the new standard, what may have then fallen out, because now we have all of that together. Something didn't belong, so we put it where it belonged, and that's what this does. Scar, do you any add to that? So anyway, that's what we're proposing, a little cleanup. And we expected this when we did it. We adopted the standard. We had the standard adopted. We knew that there would be this that would follow, just to kind of a final cleanup to get us there. So anyway. We'll take any questions.
We end up with the recipe in the flour bin when the kids are cooking.
I wasn't going to argue who was doing the cooking. We're just
With grease spots on.
we're just
Grease
cleaning
spots
up,
on
and
it,
we're doing
yeah.
it, and it's going to be really nice. I think a success that I shared with the Planning Commission is when we went to the 12th South Sewer Project to design, as we knew where we were going on that. We had, when we finished that and when we bid it out, but when we finished that project, although we didn't start on the same standard, we ended on the same standard, and that's what it was bid out on. But to have the same standard with a adjoining city is a success. It helps us to work much better together. We have other places that we talk about, maybe a shared road, or maybe where our road ends and theirs picks up, and as we have those and are operating under the same or very similar standards, it's a lot easier to work with them than try to say, oh well, yeah, yours is this, but we need that. And it really has been helpful there, and it will be helpful as more and more adopt it. So anyway, there you go.
Any further questions before we go to motion? Okay. I will entertain a motion on this.
I'll make a motion that we approve ordinance number 05-2026.
Okay. We have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion and a second. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Wahoo!
Thank you for that. I know that this is messy and hard.
We are getting so much better in what we're doing. it is really exciting to see as we make improvements. I think Rob had wanted to do this probably since he'd been there and had some of those changes. So this has taken us a very long time. We've been working on it almost all year, and so anyway, it's a really good success for us.
Anytime we can have standardization that meets everybody's needs is a good day. Okay. We'll go on to item number 5. This is Resolution 2-2026, America 250. This is a resolution, and Scott is carrying this one. And so if you'll get us on board with it.
You bet. So basically what this resolution is it's required for what's going on is the America 250 celebration. So 250 years since the signing of the Declaration of Independence is going on. It is, we would like to be a part of that and use the America 250 logo. In order to do that, we have to have permission from the state organization that is behind all that. And this resolution is basically to help us do that. So they provide us a logo. They combine it with our logo, so they're both together, and so that we can use it together. They have different stipulations as far as their logo, what we can and can't do with it. And as I read through it, it's pretty loose what they allow us to do with it. But there's certain things they don't want us to do. Like, for instance, they want us to keep with they don't want us to change their logo. They want us to use their color format or the black and white version that they provide. They provide us a toolkit that enables us to use it in many different formats, from social media to print. So they want us to use it. They just want to make sure we use it appropriately and don't abuse it. And so that's all this resolution does, is gives us the opportunity to sign the paperwork that allows us to set up that arrangement with the state.
And it is required for
Yeah.
us. And they gave us, was it $1,200,
I
$1,500?
think it's 15.
They gave us $1,500 to do what we want to do to advertise and get people involved. This is a state program, but it dovetails down from a federal program.
Yeah.
And so they've got some rules. When Ryan and I first were reading through the contract that they want us to sign, it sounded like they'd changed our logo. And so that's not the case.
No.
We'll just add that
Yeah.
and use it wherever we can to get people involved. And there are lots of different ways that we can celebrate this. So Scott's going to put together a committee and come to us with what they're going to
With
do.
some suggestions. There's a lot of things that different communities are doing. There's some communities that are just dovetailing this with already existing activities that they have coming up. We would love to do it with our city celebration. Unfortunately, that's our city celebration's too late. And so it really needs to be, everything needs to be done by July. And so I have some ideas. I got to get a committee together. So if there are people out there that want to get involved in feeling patriotic and want to help celebrate, please contact me and let's chat.
Okay. Thumbs up. We like those thumbs up.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So if you have any other questions, thanks, Scott. Comment?
Where this resolution puts, I guess, rules on the money, one of the rules is that all the committee members have to have their names submitted to the state. And so I would just make sure that committee members are aware of that.
Right.
That they are having their names turned into the state by participating.
In case they're hiding or.
Big Brother's watching.
I'm
In case they have opinions and
Yeah,
feelings.
yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough.
And someone will, probably. But we want to make sure everybody knows what the rules are. Great.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion then. You should make it, Scott.
I'm getting to it. Hold on. I just want to do it right. All right. I make a motion that we approve item number 4, ordinance 05-2026.
No, 02.
I'm on the wrong one. Here we go. Item number 5, Resolution 02-2026, America 250 Utah logo usage agreement.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I
Good job, Scott. Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks for working on that.
Yeah, I think it's going to take some time,
that's some work.
but other communities are doing something as simple as having a potluck dinner or having dinner, like get together in small groups and have a dinner.
Have potlucks. There's people that are doing walk, run, or ride 250 miles between now and the 4th of July. There's a lot of things going on in different communities throughout Utah.
I think I could eat 250 pieces of apple pie between now and then, but I don't think I could run.
It's a good goal.
Then you
Ryan.
couldn't run after that.
Donuts.
I think I could ride that far in my car.
I did the math. It's not that far. I think I walk that easily in 3 months. Easily. So
Okay.
I get a lot of steps in.
Don't give up on the pie, though. Worthy goal.
Apple pie.
Only if you bring some to share with us.
a
That's
lot
my
of pie.
favorite.
That is a lot of
Okay, let's go on to agreements and contracts. Item number 6, 100 South Road Widening Project Bid Award. We need to take some action on awarding a bid for the city's first 100 South Road Widening Project. So,
Do you want a motion?
oh,
I'm just wondering if you want to move forward with motion, have discussion, or if you want to discuss it.
well, we
and-
usually ask questions before because we have discussion in between after a motion because people may have question on the motion. So that's why we do it in that order.
Okay.
So, Ryan, you want to
Yeah.
tell us?
So this is the road between Highway 165 and Gateway Drive on First South, and it's the south side of the road. So if you're aware of that spot, it narrows down in after Discount Tire, and then it comes back out right there at before the roundabout. And so this is a spot improvement from the COG that we've got funded, and we've got a number of bids that came in. I think we actually had several, like almost, I don't know, there's 8, 10. We had a great turnout of number of people that bid. So at this point, LeGrand Johnson was the low bid at $118,474.94. The next two, Staker Parson and Geneva Rock, they were within just $120 or whatever of each other. So it was really, really close, even $80, I guess. But at this point, the staff recommendation is to go with the low bid. We've had some good contact with LeGrand Johnson on the surface work. And this is work that we think is right up their spot. They're here local. We didn't have a doubt why they were the low, and so we've gone through that. The engineer's gone through that, and it's our recommendation to take that low bid and to award the project. So, and thankfully it was below the engineer's estimate. That was always helpful, and it's within the budget we have for COG. So we're a win-win-win. So we're excited to get this project going. We have contacted the Rocky Mountain Power. They're supposed to be moving the power poles as part of their franchise agreement. They should be doing that on their dime. So we have contacted. They're aware. So anyway, that's where we're at. So
will they
take any
move all
questions?
the power poles they're supposed to move?
No, they'll only move the ones that we force them to move when we ask them to move. But
Ever move the ones on 4th East
yes.
eventually?
Yes, they moved the one
Yes.
on 4th East. Yep, they did. Yep, they did that. They're still working on moving the ones along the power corridor that are in the park. We haven't got.
Imagine
those
that
moved
takes
yet.
a minute
Those ones
to
are
get everything together to do
Yeah.
that.
more
Yeah.
extensive.
So, but we wanted to wait on moving or doing something until we had the right of way. And so now we've acquired the right of way. We're ready to have them move the poles. And so anyway, it'll be great. We're excited. Excited for this. This will be a good connection road from the 100 South roundabout to Highway 165.
Okay, so yeah,
I'll make a motion that we accept the bid for LeGrand Johnson for the 100 South Road widening project.
I'll second it.
a motion and a second. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I
Any opposed? Now we're moving right along. Thank you, everyone. Item number 7, the 1200 South Sewer Improvement Project Bid Award. So we'll discuss and take action on awarding a bid for the Logan and Providence City Joint 1200 South Sewer Improvement Project. So, Ryan, is that yours?
It is mine. We are so excited about construction work. The bids have been
The sunshine.
we are excited about this one. As the design kept going, and it was good that we were on the same page there, so we didn't have to fight about designs, which was really good. And Logan is fairly a bit more advanced than we are. They have multiple engineers in house, and Rob and I are in house, and then we have our third party engineer. Sunrise did a really good job on this, but it seemed like every time we get into it, it seems like, oh, well, it's going to cost a little bit more. It's going to cost a little bit more, and we're like, oh. But thankfully, the bids came in as good as we could have hoped, and so we're really excited about that. And this includes the project, the 12th South from our meter, just on.
Highway 165.
It's just east of Highway 165 on our 100 North. So we'll have to bore across the highway, similar to what happened on 12th South, or on 1700 South. Similar construction on 1700 South, where we bored under the road. We had to put in a manhole. Imagine a project like the 1700 South project this last year. Okay, but deeper and bigger. So
Ryan, isn't our meter on the west side of the road?
our meter's on
It sits just right off.
our meter's on the east side of 165 before it goes under. Yes,
The controls
the controls are there
on the
I think.
west side.
Yeah, I think that's true. Yeah, I'll have
They're
to
right
look.
there by the.
I have to remember. I know they have to put in a manhole on our side of the highway,
Okay.
and we have to go underneath, because we have to upsize to our side of the highway, and I know the meter is being replaced as well.
See, we have
And
a sewer that comes along Highway 165, empties into our sewer line coming down.
Yes, and then the sewer line on First North, our First North, is 12-inch, and coming north on 165 is 15-inch. So we have to, that 12-inch is undersized. We've got to do it up, and so we're gonna take that 12-inch and go up to 21-inch, and we're gonna improve. So
How's our 12-inch doing east of Highway 165? Is that running fairly full, or we diverted some over onto down here?
no, it in our master plan it shows that we have sufficient capacity in that stretch, but it's when we add the 165 15-inch into that, and then as we go down farther on 12th, we add the north line into it.
Right, it comes
So we
down
add that
around the
later.
other way. Yeah.
So it's really that stretch from 165 to 8991 that we're improving, and that's where our neck down point was, because it was 12-inch line.
Are we going to have to bore under Highway 165?
Yes.
Okay, and then
Yes.
is the new line going then?
We're going to have to go through 165, whether they're boring or open trenching. I'd have to relook at that, but I know
Well,
we're going
regard-
through it.
What about the highway?
8991?
Yeah,
No.
we don't have to bore there.
That's not our problem.
We're not, well, it will be our problem, but not this job problem.
This is not
This,
sizing that.
no, it
Nor
goes,
going out through the golf course.
we're not doing that.
Okay.
So this is just to take it to the east side of 8991,
And from a 12-inch to a 15-inch, right?
21.
21.
Yeah. Okay.
Some of it's already 15, so we're going up to a 21. So
Will we keep both lines? Will they be parallel in the
that's a
ground?
great question. It's an excellent question, and from an engineer, I appreciate that you ask. So we will not. I've said we won't have dual lines. If they want to keep the line that's there, then it will be Logan's line. And what our design is that we would keep intact the line that goes in for us, and we would have all of ours in there. And then at this stage, they're probably going to keep the old line and utilize it for their flow. And so they could have a spot that they could move theirs into ours, and then if they need to repair or work on it. So they have said they want to keep the parallel, but we aren't going to be responsible to replace the parallel line again some future date.
Do we get a credit for the infrastructure that we're going to be turning over to them? That would be
No.
really great.
No, we're not. I just wanted to make sure we didn't have to repair it in 10 years down the road when it needs another repair. I didn't want to have us now having two lines we were having to take care of. So I was more concerned making sure that
So we're going to
We're
gift
taking care of
that.
We'll
We're
take
going
the
to,
brand new one.
yes,
we're taking the brand new line,
we'll gift
and,
them
and
our
if
old
they
one.
want to keep it, then that's on them and their expense to keep,
Yeah.
but not on us.
And so the hotel and any other development's not going to come into our line.
Not
I
at
mean-
this point. That's correct.
They're-
If they abandon the 12 or the 15 or whatever they have, if they somehow abandon that, they could flow into the 18, but then they would have enough connections to do that. But we're hoping that stays in their line.
Well-
That's the goal.
we could probably be happy to sell them a connection.
Then they
So
would
the
charge us
line
our
that-
own impact fee.
The line that comes out of Providence, is that a 12-inch
So it crosses underneath the road
at a 12?
12, and then there's a spot that it goes to 15.
So we're hooking a 12 onto a 21.
We're gonna go from a 15 to a 21 to 18 and 21. We've got all kinds of different sizes on here. It's gonna be so much fun.
It has to be graduated.
We're bringing two lines in together.
We have two lines coming in at 165. We have two lines coming in again at just past the Walmart. We have this is so much fun.
So much
Eh,
sunshine.
and ours, keep in mind, we have impact fees that are paying part of this. So part of the upsize is due to impact fees. We have about just shy of 300,000 in there, I think. We have a grant. Part of our funding is through a grant that we got through a economic development grant. So part of that's going into this. Part of it is coming from rates. That's why we've had to build up some of our rates. And Logan is going to pay a portion of this. So I think they pay
And they're going to run the
2.5% or
construction, aren't they?
3%. So yeah,
Ryan, they're running the construction.
they're gonna lead out on the construction and that, yeah. But anyway, they've been a great partner moving forward. It's easy to be a great partner for them when we're paying all the bill, but they have the expertise, and it has been a good partnership. And I would say this has gone really well for us. And when at worst case, we almost worried that this was going to be a $3 million project. It's 1.2. Couldn't be happier.
Great job.
So
Yes, Brent.
In the future, who will own this line?
Logan will own the line.
They'll own the line.
They own the current line.
And I understand they own
Yes.
the current one. They'll own this one too.
Correct.
And we will be also on the hook for associated fees if there's repairs or other things need to be done.
Major repairs, that's correct. That's our 1986 agreement. Yeah. Mhm.
Will that exceed 88 million that we could have built a sewer treatment plant or not?
No, the treatment plan is 55 million. Now, if bids come in like this, maybe we should reconsider building the
I'd
treatment
love
plant.
to.
But at this point, we're into this one. We got to do this one, and
I understand.
and so,
Just being facetious.
no, I would like to, but if we could get bids that were similar to this and could do that, if it could come in as a 40 million plant, and we could make it work, that would certainly be a great way to go. But at this point, this is where we're at, and we've made the best of a crappy situation.
Oh,
I was
that was
waiting, I
fun.
was waiting for you.
All righty, let's move ahead. If there are no other questions for Ryan, I'll entertain a motion.
I would make a motion. My screen's gone black. What is it? Do we
It's
accept the bid tabulation?
South Sewer.
Oh, okay, thank you. Item number 7, the 1200 South Sewer Improvement Project Bid Award, and I would approve that we award it to Suncor as the lowest bidder.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any approved or opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, now we'll go to plans and other business. The library. Funds to support the Cache County Library. You all know that the Cache County has said, we don't want to do this anymore. It's in your town. Why don't you take it over? So we need to decide what we're going to do about that. So at this point in time, Ryan, you want to say anything? Janelle, you want to report what you've got? Do you want to set the framework? Ryan?
I will. I'm happy to talk, but I'm excited to see what Janelle says.
Me too.
So,
I'm a newbie on the library board, so I'm not going to say a
The
lot.
lady in the library.
At this point, I've met with the librarian and the organizer, the Friends of the Library. We have some great individuals helping with this. After our last council meeting, we released a survey. I'd just like to kind of go through a few of those things to give you feedback in what we have received, some of the feedback we've received from the public, and at least let you know what the public says. I mean, we had 473 responses,
Which is incredible.
which is incredible. we even parks and some of those things, we'll get 200, 250. But this is probably the survey we have received the most amount of feedback on. And so I'd like to just go through a few of those pieces of the puzzle. I have sent a link to, and just for the public's sake, I have sent a link to all of the council members so you could review some of this in greater detail at your convenience. But I do want to show the public and report back. We have taken their information and have digested it and really want to understand and value the input that we get. So anyway, some things I had a hypothesis one way and the feedback came in a different way. And it's good to get some of those feedback. So I just kind of go through a few if that's all right. Overall, whether they live in Providence, the report is that almost 96% of those that took this survey lived in Providence. We also did a branding of the similar survey and sent it to River Heights so that they could get their own residents. We offered to do it for Nibley and Millville if they wanted, and they haven't as yet taken that one, but they may choose to do their own surveys or their own information gathering. But anyway, we did offer. Are you a homeowner? So the reason why this is important, we had 92% that said they were a homeowner. One of the keys to this is they will be the ones that are directly affected if there's a tax increase, are the homeowners. They'll see that. So that helps us to understand who's giving us feedback and how we weigh some of those pieces of the puzzle. How long they've lived in it. Over half of the survey respondents have lived in Providence more than 10 years. Does anyone in your household currently use the county library? 81% say they use the library. As small as it is, that's a great percentage. So, how often do you use it? A third use it. A third use it weekly. Probably another 30% use it monthly, and there's some that use it, a few times a year. There is those that use it rarely and never. There's about 20% that don't, and you'll see that same about 20% that don't have a library card or don't use it. So that kind of confirms the data there. So, which services? I was surprised at this a little bit. Is that most are into the physical book. Because of the volume of the digital collection and the free collection there and the low wait times, I had been under the guess that the digital collection would have been a larger percentage. But at this point, the physical book is so. Anyway, that was a interesting piece for me. And then there are lots that use other ones. Very limited use the internet. They may not be aware that it's connected our 10 gig offering. So it's probably the fastest internets in the valley, or the fastest computers in the valley eventually. So if that gets out, it might get used a lot more. Do you primarily use physical or digital? So we kind of ask it again just to double check on it. Most use both, but the physical is still a very strong presence in what is being used there. How important is the library to you? 2/3 said it was very important, and then another 13% somewhat important. So, that's our 80% again. So, kind of fits to what we expected there. How would it affect you if it closed? And there was a significant 40% are saying it would affect them significantly. So, very significant effect if it doesn't. Ranking the outcomes. By far, and this is similar on what we're hearing, visiting with people, and that by far the most desired outcome is that the county continue to keep it and fund it. That is the number one desired outcome among the survey respondents in our community. They aren't interested. They'll accept us doing it. Reluctantly accept us doing it if they have to cut services. They don't want it to close, but vast majority want it to stay the county library. So anyway, that was good information to have. If Providence were to operate it with reduced staff, would that be okay? Over half said yes, they would accept it. They would support it with a reduced there. There is a lot of unknown and maybe depending on what happens. So there's a lot of questions, and I'm building a question and answer, and so we'll try to release some of that information as things go on. But if you find that there's a question that we should answer in this to be able to get better information out, we certainly also see that is part of the responses that the respondents want more information. So anyway, as we build a question and answer and try to answer some of those questions, that's what we're trying to accomplish. So anyway, If the province were funded through a property tax increase, how much? So this was interesting. So I, as a math person, as an accountant, I know how to count my numbers. And so I counted percentages until I reached 50%. And once I reached 50%, I figured, well, that's the amount that I could put in and get the vote to pass. And I would tell you that you would most likely get a yes vote on a property tax increase at about a $20 assessment. Now, some of that we'd have to convert that into what the average median house is, and so it wouldn't be directly that number, because the larger the house would pay more of a percentage, the smaller the house would pay less, and so that's not exact, but as an average, about $20 would give you a favorable vote, and to give an idea, that's probably about the $55,000 to $60,000 amount for a budget. So currently the budget is $250,000, and based on our responses, it's important, but the volume of revenue that we would be able to ask for from the public is around 60,000. So there's a fairly large gap in between what we see the public is willing to fund and what the interest is. So there is some ways that we have to figure out how to fund that gap and get the budget in line with what we think that a property tax assessment would come in at. Another item, as we talk about property tax assessment, we can go through lots of other questions. But one of those things is if we take it a property tax line item, we can dedicate that income to the library, rather than just a truthed taxation, increasing the property taxes and it going to the general fund. If we have a library line item tax, then all of the amount that is received from that tax goes into funding the library, which would be a ongoing maintenance or ongoing funding to that library. That would be the best way to assure an ongoing library, rather than it having to compete with funds out of the general fund. So that's a piece to the puzzle, and I would definitely, at the end of this, I would definitely be interested if the council is interested in moving forward with a vote that would be that or not. So that would be helpful for staff at this stage, is to find out if you're interested. So we'll finish a few more things, but if you would make note of that, that would be something that we as staff need to start to prepare for if we're going to go to a ballot initiative or referendum or whatever it's called. Is it initiative? Okay. If we go to a ballot initiative to have that, we need to work towards that, and it takes us months to get there. So we really do need to know the direction that you want us to go as soon as possible. Maybe it doesn't have to be in this meeting, but fairly soon we'll need to know that, so we can go down that road whichever way you want us to go. So then we had people indicate whether they'd be willing to help us with fundraising, with volunteering at the library. We got a really good response there. And then later on, and I won't necessarily show everybody's name that signed up, but we had 78 people that gave their name. I think that's pretty impressive. That they not only said, yes, I will help, but put their name down. Out of those that said they'd help, we had 566 respond, and over 400, 380 said they would help in some manner. So a majority said they'd help in some manner, but then we had those that actually put their name down, and that's a really good sign. That's a really good volunteer base, and if this moves forward, we'll turn those names over to the librarian and some of that, and help give them the ability to call in some volunteers, and hopefully that would help. So that's a good sign. The rest of from here on is open-ended question, And so really it's about reading and reviewing those responses. And that's why I kind of sent that out to you so you could have time to digest a lot of that, because there's a lot of responses that people gave. So anyway, that's the survey. So anyway, my question is where you want us to go. So at this point, we've got information. We've gotten. I can show what their new budget is. They're presenting to change the budget to take what the library or the county gave them, add some money a little bit to get them through the end of the year. So they've presented a new updated budget to their appropriations committee. And,
So it's the end of the calendar year, not the fiscal year.
yeah, it would take through the end of the calendar year. That was what they would in their budget to. So they're working on a reduced budget, but if that passes, next Tuesday, that would have been their next meeting. If it passes next Tuesday, that would extend the library to operating through the end of the year, but on a significantly reduced, about half the budget that they've been operating on. So they'll have to lay off some staff and cut some services to be able to make that work. So that's in the works. So anyway,
Okay.
I'll
Do you have anything to add?
I hope you have a plan
A
in
plan?
mind.
Well, we have a plan, but the county executive doesn't like it, so.
Well,
Right.
I've talked to Mark Hurd, who has the council assignment for the library for the county. So he goes to the county meetings, which Ryan alluded to this. They had appropriations meeting and opened their budget on Monday, and that goes to the county council vote on Tuesday. I don't know the details of what they asked for. I know that Brennan proposed a few options of how
4 options.
of alternate budget approaches. So we won't know exactly what they're agreeing to do and what support they're willing to give until they vote next week. So that's just kind of an update on the county position. In order for us to, well, there's something that I did not realize about the county that I've learned, is that they have to have a supermajority vote to override the executive. So if Executive Daines is determined to have a certain level of funding, they have to have 5 out of 7 votes to overturn his veto. So it's not just a simple majority vote on the budget. So that's something to consider. As for what I would recommend, the Plan B, it's clear that our residents want library services. I mean, this is the best survey response we've ever gotten in 6 years. So, as such, I think that we should do what we can to provide that. I personally feel like we should do a tax because, number one, it gives the most stability to the library. Because if we do it out of the general fund like the county has done, it's just a show of support if we're in the mood, or if we don't have some other pressing matter that demands our money.
It's
So I-
easier to change that
So
than it is when it's a specific tax.
it is easier to adjust it out of the general fund, but I think that we've had enough experience with budgeting. We know we have a lot of projects and repairs and maintenance. We have all these master plans with projects in the pipeline to just keep things in good repair, and adding extra demand on those funds just puts strain on other areas of the city. So either we would raise it through the general fund and have truth in taxation that way, or we would raise it through a line item library tax. So that would be my recommendation, is that we do a line item library tax. There is a cap in state code that's 0.001% of your assessed property value is the cap on what you can assess for library services. that would be pretty significant. I looked up Logan and North Logan. Logan's is 0.0098. I mean, it's like 0.009 of a percent. So it's like maybe 1/10 of what the cap is. And North Logan's is a little bit less than that. So for us to get to $100,000 budget for our library, roughly based on, Google's value of what our median property values are here in Providence, would be like 0.8-0.10 of a percent. So it would be significantly lower than what the other cities are doing, but that would put us at $40 a household, roughly. Which I feel like, as I look through the survey data, I think there's a lot of unknowns that people say. I realize that we're going to have to cut costs, we're going to have to cut services to make this work. But if people look at what service options that they have should this library close, the cheapest library there is in the valley to go to is Mendon, and that's at $40 a year, and it's clear across the valley. So $40 a year in the same place that they're used to coming seems like reasonable to me. Whether that would be accepted by the public, I feel like if we put it out there in Truth and Taxation, and then we have our Truth and Taxation hearing, if we get significant response from the public that $40 is too high, or whatever that percentage is, then we can make adjustments at that time when we go through Truth and Taxation and respond to what the public feels like is palatable. I mean, I think that's within our ability to do through Truth and Taxation. I've never been through Truth and Taxation, so this would be a new experience for me.
May or may not be through Truth and Taxation. If it is a line item tax, it might have its own process, but as we go through that, we haven't been through, I mean, in the 6 years I've been here, we haven't proposed a property tax increase. So we've been pretty frugal to not have to ask for that, and living within our sales tax increases and that. So we haven't gone through that process, and so if the line item tax requires Truth and Taxation, then we certainly will. If it is its own process and doesn't, then we may not have to do that. So that's why we need some time to research, because we've got homework to do. So we want to know which direction you want us to go, because we have some homework.
What kind of questions do you guys have? I mean, I feel like I know library up to my eyeballs. So if you have specific questions that I haven't really addressed.
What's the process for it to go to the voters instead of the 5 of us voting on it?
The ballot initiative.
Yeah, ballot initiative.
And what's the process for that? I mean,
That's what we're working on. So-
ballot initiative.
Yeah, so that's what we're working on. If you want us to go down there, we have done, Ty has done some into that, but we'll need to continue to do that. But we'll have to have an ordinance by, was it? Before August. So in our July meeting, we'll have to have an ordinance passed by the council in order to put it on the ballot. Again, we have to work with the county. We don't have a ballot this year, right? I mean, we're in a county ballot this year, not a municipal ballot this year. So we don't have one. So we would have to then work with the county to put on their ballot.
It would be expensive.
It depends. We don't know what they'll charge us to put it on their ballot.
They
There-
should charge us nothing.
Those are things we're having to work out. So at this point, we don't have all the detail. We're looking for a direction rather than a decision. So that makes sense.
Right.
So go ahead.
For me, I just would rather see it turned over to the voters than I mean, I see the value of a library. It's clear that people want it, but I want them to vote for it. I want them to vote for a tax raise, not me. I just don't want to say yay to a raise in taxes.
Well, we
leads
had
me to
400,
another.
over 400, 480 people.
I understand that. I
But
still don't
What
want
I'm
to say
saying is
yay.
we have 2,500 households.
Right.
And so it's a pretty small
There were
sampling.
5,000 voters, so we're
Just to comment on that. So I look at it and I go, okay, we put up for a ballot. We say let's say we put up to the voters. I have two things. This is one. You put it up to the vote, and you have, say, you have 400 people who vote. Out of how many voters?
well. Let's say we have 2,000 people that vote.
Well, even if we have 2,000 people that vote, but we have 5,000 voters, and the 2,000 people that vote, say 60% of those are willing to raise a tax, but we didn't get the rest of the vote out. I would want to make sure we're in a situation where we can look at that and go, okay, wait a minute, there's pushback of other people that didn't catch what was going on. I would hate to have 200 or 2,000 people deciding for 5,000 people.
Well,
But
that,
they
that
decide by
happens
not
on
voting.
anything.
Duty to
They
vote.
decide by
No,
not voting.
so I would want to make sure we're publicizing it well. Okay. One. Number two, I would like to see a plan for how whatever funds, if it's like you threw out 100,000,
Oh, yeah.
how that's being used. Is 100,000 a reasonable amount? Is that realistic? Is it going to take 150? Is it going to take 200,000? Could we do it on 60,000? And that's going to affect how
We're working on that right now.
Awesome.
There would have to be.
Yeah, I can paint a few of those pictures for you, Scott. A 60,000 budget is a part-time librarian with no benefits, works under 30 hours a week, no support staff, and a extremely limited circulation. Basically, the Beehive collection and a couple $1,000s of books each year. It's a very limited. It is a library, but it's a very limited one. At 120,000, you get a full-time librarian. You get a little bit better collection, but still volunteer. At 150,000, which is what their current budget moved to, that's the proposal they're going to have. I have some of that information, but that's what they're proposing to go to. That almost immediately lays off one of their three part-time staff, cuts their collection spending from 60,000 to 10,000, and has a significant change on service. At a 250,000, we can continue to operate with what they're doing now, but either of the option is that way. How we get that out to the public becomes a difficult piece of the puzzle.
78 volunteers.
That's exact. Well, and the friends, and hopefully there's friends to the library that also support that, and yeah, I mean it will take all of those volunteers to get that word out. So, but just one comment with it, there is a separation between a binding vote and a non-binding vote, and I think that's something we had kind of visited with. A binding vote is if there is 51% of the voting population of the voters that voted, if 51% of them vote in favor, then it passes and it's the tax. The disadvantage of that is just what he said. If we have a low voter turnout, this is not a municipal election, so it's likely to have a low voter turnout. If we have that, then we could have a low voter with 51% of that low voting, and it wouldn't represent the majority of the population. I think that's the fear I would.
My concern.
Yeah, I think that's valid. I mean, I use it, even if you had half the voters turn out and half of them voted in favor, then you only have, let's say, 26% of people that voted for it, and are you willing to do a tax for that? So if you say, yeah, whatever the voters turn out, hey, then you put on a binding vote and you have it. The problem with doing a non-binding vote is that if you put it out there and you have people that voted for it, and then you turn around and say no, then that's another flip of that coin. That's
True.
that's bad too. And so
Actually,
either one of
every
those.
scenario is bad except the county
I would love to see the
keeping the
county pay
library.
the collection, the online, the book collection for all the county. Get rid of the double taxation and fund that for all libraries throughout the county. That means it doesn't matter if I turn a book in one spot or another because the county's paying for all the books. It doesn't matter whether I log in to get a collection because all of them are paid together. I think the county ought to lead in that manner and pay for the collection, the digital and book collection for all libraries throughout. I don't know whether the librarians like that. They may not. But then at least we test out this voucher program that the executive wants to use for our life safety. So maybe we have a library that might work.
I would think that the librarians would want that because what it does is it gives them extra money for their budget because right now they have to pay for their own. The other thing is that the cities take on the management of the library and to run it, provide the physical facilities, provide the staff, all those kind of things. And providing the staff for the cities helps save money because there are some things that we have an offer to our employees that are there anyway. So there's some cost savings to be earned right there. But we've made it clear that that's what we'd like to do, but it's still not going past. So, Brent.
So I have a couple of questions. So we would still have the 100,000 vested in our library that we're
For the
paying
building
for
and
the building
facilities,
and
yeah.
operation. So we're looking at the difference of what we need to staff and
Mostly to
books and
staff and book collections.
Okay, so I think we have a county executive, I hear what we're saying, that says, all right, we're not going to fund you anymore, so we got more shekels in our pocket. To heck with you in Providence. Why is it that he keeps the shekels? Why is it the county kicking it back to us if they're not going to fund us? They're taking the money in now. Why do they get to keep it? What gives them the authority if they're not going to pay for services to keep the money? I think that needs to be looked into.
I don't think is it a dedicated fund?
It's not a dedicated one, but to the point is they have been using 250,000 of their general fund to use it. If they don't put it into that, what are they going to use it for? And why not put it into county-wide library services or something else, or return it lower tax? I mean, they just increased property taxes by 18% last year.
Right.
Yeah, maybe they should reduce the property tax then.
Property tax, or somehow make it so it's fair. I mean, we can't just say, well, we're cutting your services, but we're now going to put it in our pocket. I don't think that's fair because it's a service that they've been providing. I think we need to look into that.
But if it's a general fund, they can do that.
As a general fund, they could do it. If it were a library fund,
They could not.
they couldn't. And that's why it's good for us to have a line item, because then it doesn't we don't rob Peter to pay Paul, or we don't, it has its own source. Even if we could manage our spot to make some of that Band-Aid it together now, having a direct tax as Janelle's addressed, then we could have it set aside, its own spot, would have its own department, would have its own, that revenue would stay for there, it'd have its own bank account, it'd stay within the library.
So it becomes restricted funds.
So
If there's no other recourse, and I personally think we ought to, there seems to be an interest in the library. And I think, we have a huge highway of information out there, ironically, but unfortunately it's becoming more and more obvious that you can't trust that highway. It's got a lot of potholes in it. And I think having a library with printed material, I think is valuable. I really do, especially for young readers and stuff like that. I think it has merit, and I have been converted to it, as I really wasn't thinking that way early on. So I think there's some value in having a library, and I think we ought to, whether we do a non-binding or a binding vote, I think we ought to find out who's willing to put up money for it, because, and it's all going to be based on property tax values or property values, right? And we have some, you know, maybe the people who have the higher value properties will not be interested in it, but we ought to look into it and see what.
Well, they still get the same vote. Everyone gets one vote, whether their house is.
Oh, I understand that, but they're going to be voting for more money out of their pocket.
Yeah.
Their one vote's going to cost them more. Then maybe they're the ones that aren't going to want it.
Well, there's something that to be said for a community who values a library. We're still living in an age where the library makes a difference
Sure
in
does.
how you perceive a community. So we're also considering that.
What do we know about donations? Because there was that 501c3 set up to potentially help with funding. I don't know how ongoing that might be.
They indicated it's probably between 10, 15%, something like that. That you could kind of expect that you'll see about a 10 to 15% of your budget that could be coming from Friends of the Library. So it's not something that would double your budget or anything like that. It's supplementary, and likely would go to benefit the collection or something that way.
Or
So,
programming
or
or
programming, depending on what it's contributed.
So
There's
helpful,
also-
but not the complete change of course that
no.
I think
No.
we hoped for somewhat, but
There are other avenues that we're exploring also, and that is to have Millville and River Heights come in with some funding.
Nibley's
Not a
also,
lot.
Nibley's also considering
They're
it.
considering it, but they're still working on what that means for them. Their citizens are pretty loyal to Hiram, and so they may opt not to. We're also looking at the fact that we could charge for a library card,
that was my next question.
and that would bring some in. But what have we got? 1,200.
Yeah, I mean, I think we got a little over 1,200, but
Right now, that's what we have. That's not to say if we say, okay, that'll be $40.
1,200 card holders.
Providence
That was
card
me.
holders.
Providence card holders. So if we said that'll be $40, they'll say, I don't use it that much.
Well, that's my overall takeaway from the survey, honestly, is you have a lot of comments and we look at the graphs that say the library is important, and they say it's important at all costs unless there's a cost. Because if you read through all the comments, it's like, what are you concerned about? Cost, taxes, please don't increase my tax, all this kind of stuff. So I really think, to Carrie's point.
They want a free service that's not really free.
I'm not,
Nothing is free.
yeah, nothing's free.
Just because you don't get a bill in the mail doesn't mean it didn't cost you
Right.
something.
Yeah.
And, to Brent's point, the county is sitting on 7 million reserves or something
it's 7 million reserves last year.
last
They
year.
had 11 million the year before that. Over the last 5 years, their reserve has doubled.
If-
Do we
if
know? Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, if you follow that chain of events and they're sitting on a pile of millions, they move our mayor to the beyond the directors. They say, yeah, we'll fund it toward the middle of the year for you. We're going to raise your taxes 18%. You see where that's going? It's putting it squarely in our laps to
Right.
say we're the bad guy because
Right.
no matter what
Because we're going to
happens,
close it.
we're
Yeah.
either going to close it or
Or
we're
we're
going to raise
gonna
tax.
keep it,
or-
and everyone's gonna complain that it's not the service that they want.
They complain.
So we keep
anyway.
it, and they're like, the collection's too small, the hours are too short, like,
And we get
so
that
it's
anyway,
like
I think.
a
So,
rock and a hard spot.
Yeah. it's a bad-
Sorry.
No, we get that anyway, and it's a bad. That's
a
not
little
a great place to.
It's kind of a bad
be, but-
precedent,
And then you wonder if we don't push back a little on the county. What's next in store for us beyond another 18%
Well, we keep doing that
cutting
because
services?
the sewer, we keep saying, how much more is that going to be? You know,
Yeah.
we took garbage on ourselves because we felt like that's what would happen with the garbage. So
Yeah. So I'm feeling a little negative towards them, honestly, but I realize something has to be done, and that doesn't solve the problem. But
they're considering taking to the council, the county council, to fund the library until the end of the fiscal year,
right.
or the end of the calendar year, not the fiscal year.
Mayor, who are they? Who are they? Who are your
The county.
The county council is looking.
Right.
That's what I was going to ask is, do we have you talked about a supermajority of the county council it would take to override the county executive?
Well, the county council could say, we feel like we need to keep the library, but they have to have a supermajority in order to do that because he does have veto power.
Right. Do we have any insight as to the feeling of the members of the county council?
Well, some.
Okay. Just curious. Thanks.
Wasting our breath to try to get their air, Janelle? Like,
I feel like,
are they as unreasonable as Mr. Daines?
no, depends on the council member. I feel like we can get to 50%. Getting to 70% is a bit more of a stretch, but I feel like, I don't know. I feel like if we have the ability to continue the conversation and keep the public engaged and educate, then we might be able to get there, but it's an uphill climb. It is an uphill climb. So
That's why putting it to a vote and putting it on the ballot and saying, do you want the library or not? That takes us out of the equation and it puts it in the hands of the people that are going to pay for it. So when we put it on the ballot, do we put it on the ballot just for Providence? Just for Providence, Millville, and River Heights, or the entire county?
Well, I think it should be on the ballot for the entire county, but that's also an uphill battle with education because anyone who has a line item library fund by state statute is excluded from a county tax if
Right.
they already are paying a city tax. And I think if North Logan City, they knew that and they understood it well, then I think they would be supportive of it. But again, it's an uphill education battle. So, I mean, I think there's lots of ways to work it. Some of them are at a countywide level. Some of them, obviously we're at a city level. So,
And we cannot collect taxes from the county. We can only collect taxes for Providence. We cannot collect it for the whole county. So the whole county says, oh yeah, we don't mind paying extra. That we don't collect for them. We only collect for Providence.
well, then they have to vote on it. And also, I feel like, I don't know, maybe we'd have better voter participation if it's a county ballot initiative on a county election. But again, that's a gamble. So, I mean, as far as directing our staff, if you're open to a motion, I'd make one that they start pursuing a ballot initiative for Providence to put a line item library tax on the county ballot for November. And I'd also like to ask them to just maybe send out an additional survey question to say, this is what reduced hours are going to look like at different cost levels, because I think that was one of the biggest questions that people had. Like, we don't know what we'll support because we don't know what it looks like. So if we can give them more information on what that looks like, then we can get more feedback on what they'd be supportive of as we try to figure out what cost level to propose. Yeah.
So who is they? If they put it on the ballot, you're talking about.
Us.
Okay. All
Because
right.
we have no control
just wanna clarify
we
that.
have no control over what the county does.
Or
I mean-
what the other cities
or what the other cities do. And that, I mean, that is a whole nother layer of like interlocal agreements and those things. I would like the Friends of the Library to consider a ballot initiative
I'm just
countywide,
gonna-
but that's a different discussion with a different body.
I'm just gonna pause you here as a Robert's rule item. You started a motion, and then you transitioned into a discussion.
That's
If
true.
you'll go back and make your motion,
Would love to do
and
that
then
for you.
and then pause there and have a second.
I didn't take it as a motion because she said if I were to make a motion, but she didn't.
That's
May I make a motion,
go.
Mayor?
Good point.
Okay. Yes.
I'll make a motion with the direct the staff to pursue a ballot initiative and send out an additional survey question that illustrates the difference in service at different funding levels
And this is a ballot initiative for,
for Providence City.
okay.
Binding.
I don't know that we need to decide whether it's binding or non-binding at this time. Why don't we get a second on the vote and then we'll discuss it. A second on the motion, then we'll
Okay.
discuss it. How's
So
that?
I'll entertain a second.
I'll second.
Okay, you're talking to your microphone.
I know, but I'm grumpy. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Now, discussion?
Does it have to be stipulated binding or non-binding as we explore it?
There are different processes between the two. There's significantly different process, I think.
Yeah, one's, I mean, the time frame's still the same. Non-binding, again, it's just advisory. We're just collecting information. There's no legal implications. That'd be passed by a resolution. Question would still come from our attorney. Binding, of course, does have legal implications. We did do a binding one a few years ago with Vineyard. That's kind of a good example. They voted nay, so we didn't, that was a dead ordinance on their rezone. But again, it'd be from our attorney how that's questioned and then done by August.
So when he's saying the attorney questions, it, the attorney writes the question for the ballot.
I see. I'm fine with binding, but how do you all feel?
Binding.
Probably if we did non-binding and it came back to us and then we
Still have to do
rejected
it.
whatever the voters said, then that's also bad news. So probably right. And I don't know the legal
Then we just have riots.
hoops there, but
Yeah.
library riot,
Yes. People picketing at our house.
throwing books.
I really think binding's the way to go on this one.
And would we then charge other cities to use it if it passes and we,
Yeah, I mean, then I think we develop a fee structure and
If they
forward.
want their citizens to take advantage of it, we could have a non-resident fee, which is, that's what you have in Logan. Or we could make it an agreement with, like Hiram does with Nibley, to pay whatever into the library, and then their citizens can use it as though they are citizens of Hiram.
So question on if we had the initiative, helping people see what it looks like, would it be based on like what Ryan was trying to explain with $60,000? Here's what your tax would be. This is what it would provide.
yeah, no,
120,
that's what
this-
I would.
And then how are they voting? What are they voting on then?
Well, I think that's not on the ballot initiative. I think that's in an additional survey question.
Okay,
Ballot initiative is yes or no on the tax.
okay.
But that
We
gives us
can-
better.
I think we can put
Gives
information
them
on
better information on what their option they're choosing.
So, but it's determined, I want to know, are they willing to support $150,000 a year operation or only a 60,000 or a 250? Because it's, and if they know what that tax is going to mean approximately for them, that would be.
We can do that on the ballot initiative.
I think the ballot initiative can ask a yes or no question, and so we would have to determine what we want to ask, whether that's asking it 100,000 or 150,000. We would determine what we're going to ask, but I think that's to Janille's question is we're going to ask that secondary question to find out what they're willing, what we're going to take to the ballot. But at some point, the ballot is a yes or no question. It's not a select which option.
What do you think?
Sure.
Yeah, so you do a survey beforehand,
Yeah.
is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
And then get that information from the people, and then whatever it looks like,
Set the level accordingly.
got it.
Yeah.
It seems to me that there would be value if we're going to the effort to collect more answers, to also answer questions.
I
So
agree,
to
yeah.
you know, with that survey at the end or at the beginning, or send 2 links or something, the link would give them more information before they take the survey, so they don't have the same questions that they had and the snarky responses, you know, if they have more information when they take the second survey.
Education and communication is so valuable.
And I agree with that. I really think we need to educate the public if we're going to expect them to support this initiative.
Or not,
not.
Just
Yeah.
just education, and even to answer the questions in a second survey, they need more education
For sure.
ahead of the questions.
Sure. I did have a question on engagement on a ballot initiative. I know with Prop 1, well, I know sometimes when we put a ballot initiative out there, the council kind of just has to be neutral.
Lay low.
Absolutely. I think you have to be neutral once the ballot initiative's drafted. Staff and the council would have to be neutral.
I think one thing that'd be important too, at least for me, and maybe for you folks it wouldn't be,
I don't
but
It is for me.
I need to make sure I give a honest answer to people who have questions about it. That I'll be able to lay forth on a phone call or whatever, an email or a text or whatever, an information that is uniform across our city, what we're planning on doing, I don't want to be stating my opinion. We ought to be unified if we're going to go forward with this thing.
We
with
can't go out and
truth.
lobby.
What's that?
We can't go out and lobby, but if they ask a question, we
Right,
should
if
be
they
able
ask
to
a
answer it
question, we want to be able to all
honestly.
give a reasonable, pretty much the same explanation, and let them decide.
Right.
I think the Q&A that Ryan has started is really good. But we haven't decided what will be on the ballot, so we can't, you know, we need more information.
That can't get
This is an
to there
ongoing
yet.
discussion.
Yes, but we needed to start that so we understand what process, we need to understand what process we need to go through next as staff so that we can get to the point that you make the next decisions and how that line goes out. So anyway, I think this is helpful for us.
Can I amend the motion?
Yes.
I'll amend my motion that it's a binding ballot initiative and also include the question and answer that's being developed with the second survey.
Okay, we have a motion on the table. Do we have
Second.
a second? We have a second. Any further comment, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Marching orders.
Alright.
Okay, no,
You'll get me the question.
okay,
We're good. I mean, I think. yeah.
okay. All right. No study items. Do we have any public comment tonight? Okay, come forward. State your name.
Hi, I'm Justin
Justin.
McMurdy. I live in
McMurdy.
Providence.
Okay.
I listened to the discussion about the library, and there was the discussion earlier about sunsetting and like different taxes, and I wondered if there was a way we could pursue like that as a solution, like a tax that sunsets automatically. Because the county has like handcuffed us to try and figure out this library thing in such a short amount of time. Like, yes, it sucks. We might just have to pass a short-term tax that sunsets automatically until we can get all the feedback and a vote and a binding stuff. It was an idea. I don't know. I want the library. I'm just trying to explore options on how we can make it, how we can keep it. So
RAPS tax has a 10-year sunset provision. So the RAPS tax would have to be renewed every 10 years. So I think that's what he's talking about, is if you had a sunset, then every 10 years you'd have to put that back on the ballot to renew the library or whatever. So
Let me just clarify. Are you talking about
I'm saying that
doing something temporarily?
I'm saying, like, in an order of operations, the council could say, hey, we are going to make this amendment. We're going to do this thing. We're going to increase taxes for a year or 2 years or whatever the agreement is. And then that gives us as a city time to figure it out. Like, we are handcuffed in such a short timeline where we're stretching the budget and cutting services to try and make it work. We're having a hard time getting all the feedback that we need from members of the city. There's a couple different ways we could potentially do that. This is just one idea. Say, hey, we are increasing taxes by, let's say, $40 on average per household per year for 2 years while we figure this out, so that we have the funds to keep the library open, because trying to build something from nothing is much harder than just keeping it going. That was an idea. It could be a terrible idea. I've never done this before. So,
Don't have enough background, right?
I work in software, and so temporary fixes and stuff, it's like we can move really quick in software, and that's not true on a city level. I did also want to say that I lost my train of thought. Sorry.
It's okay. Well, that's certainly something to consider. So we appreciate your idea.
Yeah,
And-
I know there's lots of rules and things that I am not aware of, so
Yeah.
maybe that won't work at all. I did also want to ask if it was possible that we schedule like a Q&A specifically around the library for the citizens, like a meeting where people can come, a separate thing. I know that's more work for the city, but if we had a session where we could present education piece, where we say, hey, that $60,000 a year sounds like a lot, but here's what it actually means. Here, it's 4 operating hours a day, 1 librarian, it's a limited collection. And then people can make those informed decisions. Because when I got that survey, I was like, well, I know that $100 a year, or it's $120, I think, I could be wrong, gets me access to the Logan Library. And so obviously
This year.
this
Next
year,
year it
yeah.
might be different. Yeah.
Exactly. And so obviously I don't want it to be that amount, because I don't think we get the same level of service from this library. And I think that there's room for improvement across the services and the information and education, and maybe there's room for a temporary tax that says, like, hey, we the council are going to take on this risk of this small tax increase. I say small, it's not really small. $40 is not nothing. But it sunsets automatically, and we can also sunset it faster if we have to. But I think that's one idea. The other idea is keeping them separate, is like a separate session for the library education. I don't know what attendance is like at these meetings, so maybe that's
Just
not
pretty
a great
much
idea.
it, unless there's something that there's something that is controversial,
I think
and
it'd
then
be
we have a
reasonable.
lot of people.
Anyways, just
But thank
2
you for your
ideas.
ideas. Thank you for thinking out of the box, and we'll put that in the hopper. And thank you. Okay, no one else? Okay, we'll close that item and go to staff reports.
Well, a lot of my time has been involving different discussions about the library. The library, I think that as far as a individual meeting, certainly willing to engage those. The library board meeting may be a great spot for some of that. So that would be a good spot, an avenue to maybe answer those. Maybe that's the best avenue. So as that, we have submitted applications for various grants. It's kind of been grant season. So we submitted a land water conservation fund grant, asking for $1.2 million. We weren't successful, but we got really positive responses from the staff. I think if the staff of the entity evaluating, not the board that evaluated, but the staff that that would have
I
evaluated.
really liked it, actually.
They really liked it, and I think they would have all voted for it, so we would have had it. But they weren't the body that got us selected. And we don't get to know the body that selects. So whoever that's on that committee gets to do it without us being able to know. And maybe that's good, maybe that's bad, I don't know. We submitted another application for the Hillcrest or the Grandview Park to be able to start putting in some amenities. So we'd like to be able to finish up the grading with the developer. We've finished a grading plan that we've given. That went to the developer today to see if we couldn't grade it according to what we're kind of looking for the park, and then we would be ready to be able to put in some of those amenities. We're hoping. So that's the next application. The RAPS application that we submitted would be for power and lights at the pickleball court there in by the Thompson Field, and hopefully lights along the path to get there, so we could get lights walking in and then lights at the pickleball courts. I visited with the school district and have worked with them on a safe route to school. They don't have a community. They don't have a community council because they don't have a school yet, but they have a pre committee before. So we've been working on that. The staff has been working there to try to come up with that. We have some improvements we'd like to make, but they're around County Road 238. So we'd like to put in pedestrian activated light and a crossing guard at Center Street and Second West, but we'll need the help of the county to agree to let us do that. We'd also like to put a four-way stop at 100 West and First North, but that's also a county spot. So anyway, the kids' safety's in the balance, but we're sure that they'll do the right thing.
We initially had a stop sign there, if you'll remember.
Bagged, but
The county made
the
us
county
take it
said
out.
no. So we'd like to make some good safety improvements, and we've met with the school. We are working on pedestrian activated lights at the roundabout, so we're working on that one, and we have got that put together and package put together, and we're working on the final purchase of that. So we're working on there. If you haven't been to Hillcrest Park, that playground is complete, and the minute it had the fencing taken down, the kids swarmed it, and we're so excited. It's so fun to see kids play on new equipment and know we did the right decision, whether that was Zollinger Park Playground, Brager Park, Hillcrest, the skate park, any of those are good ones to see the kids out and about. When we create that space for them, that's really helpful. The Thompson Field, the underground infrastructure is done, but we didn't get the planting done, so it will still have to be planted this
Also,
spring.
it's not planted.
It's not planted. So it,
Wondered if anybody was riding
Mud bogging?
around in it.
some will probably do it, but we hope they won't. The school, because it's going from a middle school to an elementary school, they will, they have full intention and plan to fence their property, which will encompass the current
Soccer fields.
soccer fields. So they are open to having use of them. At least that's the discussion I've had with them. But it will be closed off during the day because of the K through 5 kids that are there. They're planning to take out about a third of the parking lot on the east parking lot and put in a playground there. That would mean our sidewalk we have to where the bikes are now would enter right into the playground, so it'd be there.
That's also the problem with our car show.
Well, we've talked to them about that, and it does reduce the number of parking, but we've asked for a 10-foot gate in the middle so that we could continue to use that property there and also the grass that we have. So we've put in a request that we could still do a car show there. If it can't be there, it may go to the Thompson Field. So we are conscious of that activity and conscious of other activities that utilize our park and their parking lot and vice versa, so they could use our park and their equipment. So anyway, we're working on that. We continue to make progress on our water system, and so anyway, we're working on improvements in multiple directions. So, but that's the report I have. Anything? Okay, that's the report we have. So there you go.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate the work that's going on. I think most people in the city don't realize how much we have and we have to do, and our staff who are working on all of these projects. It really makes a difference in how well our city, or how nice our city looks. So thank you for the work. We don't have an executive session tonight, so I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Okay? Second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Anybody opposed? No. Okay. Thank you.